All right. Good morning, everyone. We've got a plea and arraignment calendar and a final plea calendar. We also have a Spanish language interpreter or translator on. Asked for it further in advance, both of you. But we've got her, and so I'd like to take that case first, so that she can be freed up to go to other places. What was that case for?
Thank you, Honor.
Welcome.
Samuel Lopez, we may be doing a plea. I just hadn't got a chance to relay the offer.
Okay.
But it was just for the plea. He understands usually when we talk, but I think for a plea.
Better safe than sorry. I don't mind that we have an interpreter.
Yeah,
we just need to let Ms. Nelson know further in advance. And it sounds like that's the first person you should talk to then.
Yes.
I don't have any deputies here right now. If you're able to go back there, well, let's get through the plea and arraignment calendar, just calling it. We won't do anything structural like a plea or a revocation before you get a chance to talk to Mr. Lopez, so we can see if we're taking care of that. All right, plea and arraignment. Mr. Tiller, he looks like that's all taken care of. You've done a waiver of arraignment.
Yes, Your Honor.
And we're gonna do a, and I think he's in Gwinnett County for the underlying offense or just something completely different?
I am not completely sure when they transferred him. I have to look and see what's going on in Gwinnett.
Okay, but we know where he is. Who's gonna handle that for the state? Is that gonna be a Ms. Clark case?
Yeah.
Okay,
Talking to her.
all right, Michelle don't need to be here because he's not here. So we've got waive and scheduling order. All right, it's easy. Jovan Walker. Is that a Ms. Wood case?
It's mine, Judge. I have not had contact with you, unfortunately.
Right, we can Odyssey as well. Oh, sort of 2 years old. So we'll do a bench warrant, but this is definitely one where if he pops up and says, I'm here and there's something, just bring him in and we will work through that quickly.
Thank you.
All right. Sylvester Williams.
Transferred to competency doctor.
All right. Thanks for getting ahead of that. Thaddeus Lindsay. Hey, Mr. Lindsay. All right. Ms. Wood, your case. Ms. Rios. Do you need a chance to talk to him, or what are we doing?
I already filed the waiver yesterday and he is good to go. I think double check his address because I don't, you got notice at Collins.
All right, let's look that up. Let's see. Mr. Lindsay, we've got an address in the system here on Baywood Drive. That's where you live? 2441? Okay. Yeah, all right. Then that's where stuff will get sent to you, like your next court date. More importantly, make sure you keep your info current with Ms. Rios. If you get a new cell phone number or anything like that, because she'll be reaching out to you when she knows that you've got court. The next time I see you, it'll either be because Ms. Rios has filed some motion on your behalf, maybe a motion to suppress or who knows what. Or because we get to what's called final plea, which is a chance to see, are we working this case out, or is it gonna be a trial? So keep Ms. Rios posted. If you do move, we need to update that address in here, but for now, you should get in the mail the notice when you need to be in court again, okay? One other thing. That's not it. You don't have a ankle monitor? Good, okay. I was just looking at your bond. You're supposed to stay away from an address on Penelope Street. You know that, and stay away from a Ms. Williams. Okay, who is she to you? Was she a girlfriend, a stranger? You have any kids together? Okay, so it's easy to stay away from her. Keep doing that. All right, Ms. Nix, anything else, or will this be Ms. Willingham's case?
This will be Miss Williams, but I'm covering for her today, so we don't have anything else.
Good, okay. Any questions, Mr. Lindsay? All right, Ms. Rios, does Mr. Lindsay need to stick around, or is he good? You're good to go, thank you. Quentin Rowland.
Yes.
Right there. Hey, Mr. Rowland. Who's handling Mr. Rowland's case?
He's my client, Your Honor, and I did the waiver. And so we just need to schedule an order.
Your bond, you didn't have to put any money up. Not bad for a bond. That's all I see on there. And in terms of address, York Road,
Yes.
still there?
Yes.
Excellent, okay. Is that also Ms. Willingham case, or is this your case, Ms. Nix?
That will be Miss Williams.
Okay, and the waiver's been filed, so, Mr. Rowland, you will get notice when you need to come back to court, but stay in touch with Ms. Rios. She'll be able to let you know, what's going on with, she's gonna be reaching out to you once she gets discovery anyway, to talk to you about what's in the state's file, but she'll also let you know about your next court date, okay? Any questions? No? Do you need to chat with Mr. Rowland anymore, or is he free to go?
It's pretty good.
Okay, you're welcome to stick around if you've got questions for Ms. Rios. We're done with the court part of it, okay? Thank you. Nicholas Burwell.
Thanks. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh.
Card,
Who is representing Mr. Burwell?
Yes.
Oh, Ms. Rios? Okay. Ms. Rios, you represent Mr. Burwell?
Yes, Your Honor. I filed a waiver in this case, so we intend to, I already did a request for accountability court.
Okay, can we just bring them to the door?
Yes.
So I can say, hey, and we'll get that rolling. Any particular accountability court,
Mental
BHTC?
health.
BHTC? Okay. Are we gonna have an okay interaction?
Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Nix, have you and Ms. Rios talked about the acceptability of a BHTC referral if that works out for him?
Another, Ms. Williams case.
Wow, she picked a good day to be out of here. All right, Ms. Willingham's case. Did she leave you any notes about whether she had thoughts about BHTC?
There was one she sent me something on, I don't know if it is. She didn't give me any notes on that.
Okay. Hey, Mr. Burwell, how are you? I'm Judge McBurney. Your case has been assigned to me. I was just talking with your lawyer, Ms. Rios, about your case. She has filed some paperwork on your behalf so we can move the case forward. She also has reached out to our accountability courts to see if you might be able to participate in one of those courts as a way to resolve your case rather than go to trial or anything like that. Get a visit either in person or through one of those booths with the camera in it to have an intake interview with the people from the accountability court. Has that already happened?
No, sir.
Okay, well, it should happen because they need to talk to you about your needs and whether it would be a good fit and whether you're even interested in doing that. But if you are, you should engage with those folks. I will see you next, either because we're getting you into accountability court, or if Ms. Rios files some kind of motion in your case, like a motion to suppress or something, we can't work through those without you here, so you can participate, okay? Any questions?
So that's it. That's it. That's all we'll talk about today.
That's all I was planning on talking about, but that's what I asked you if you have any questions.
So I get a update on my court date or I always put it on.
So your next court date will hinge in part on what the people from accountability court decide after they talk with you. Because if they think that you'd be a good fit and you say, this is something I want to do, then we need to get you into that accountability court. In fact, you may not even come back here to do that. I signed some paperwork, pick you up and give you orientation and figure out, do you have a safe place to stay or do they need to find you housing? But they'll work with you on that. That would, if things go in a good direction, be the next time there's movement in your case. If you don't want to do accountability court or they say, sorry, it's not a good fit, then you'd be back in here in a month, maybe a little later than that, either because there's a motion that Ms. Rios filed, like I mentioned, or because we're seeing if we can work your case out. Okay. But Ms. Rios will be in touch with you. Before then, you may have contact from the people from accountability court. Just be open with them about what's going on in your life. Okay. Ms. Rios, anything else we should cover with Mr. Burwell?
No, Judge.
All right. Thank you. So you'll keep us posted on that. All right. Marcus Banks. There he is. Good morning, Mr. Banks. All right. This is another Ms. Rios case. Looks like you filed a waiver already. Let's see your situation, Mr. Banks. This is another one of these old cases. You got a bond 2.5 years ago. You're supposed to stay away from Walmart. You stayed away from Walmart? Where do you do your shopping? You don't shop. Just like that sweater falls out of the sky onto your body?
Yeah, I don't have to go get it. Somebody else can go to the store.
Well, you don't have a curfew.
I can order online.
You order online. There we go. Okay. Regardless, you stay out of Walmart.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Sadie Hines, Sade Hines, you staying away from whoever that is? Okay. All right. The only other thing we need to make sure is good. I've got an address on Thurmond Street.
80.
Yeah, no apartment number?
No.
Okay, great. Who lives there with you?
mother stays there.
Okay, is it her place and she stays with you, or it's her place, you stay with her? Okay, all right. Ms. Rios, anything else with Mr. Banks's case? Ms. Nix, anything? Any questions for me, Mr. Banks? All right, you'll get notice, first from Ms. Rios, but ultimately in the mail to that address when you next need to come to court. All right, do you need Mr. Banks to stick around?
No, he's free to go.
All right, thank you for being here. You're free to go. Thomas Porter.
Judge, he's mine. If we could hold, this Willingham and I have been working on this one. It's not gonna resolve today, but I want to let him know that. And
Okay.
ultimately, it'll be a waiver.
Okay, great. So you'll do a waiver. If you want me to chat with him, let me know. Otherwise, it may be his interactions with you suffice. And it sounds like you and Ms. Willingham are making progress.
Yes.
All right. Chiquita Favor. Oh, this case, Ms. Favors.
She's in custody, all right.
She's not up yet. Okay, who from the state will be handling that arraignment? It's a Mr. Abate case, but he is Mr. YSL right now.
Yes, I will.
Okay, all
It'll
right,
be a waiver, Judge.
okay.
Just need to speak with every-
Yeah, and we should have her out here for that. Okay, all right. Derek Rogers.
Custody.
For some reason, this was the case that popped up on my list as why we needed an interpreter. That's not it, or it was maybe it?
So Judge, what happened was
Oh, right, the victim in this case. Okay,
And I learned that he might want to make a statement at the end of the day yesterday. And so while we were working out, trying to make sure that we had someone on our end to translate, I went ahead and emailed Ms. Nelson saying, hey, if we're not able to find someone, is it possible to get someone? So I wasn't basically,
okay.
well,
But you don't need an interpreter in this case. And we are gonna talk about bond, and handle his arraignment. So we'll pause that one and bring him out. I want to handle the interpreter situation first if we can. Which was gonna be this case, but is not. All right, Talitha Powell,
Good morning, Your Honor. Stand by.
thank you. But you're not, Talitha Powell is on the screen.
yes.
Are you supposed to be reading?
Yeah.
Yes,
Can you turn your camera on, please, Ms. Powell?
yes,
All right, hold on. Let me get you right there. Great. All right, you're Ms. Powell?
yes,
Okay. I'm Judge McBurney. Your case has been assigned to me. And I think Ms. Wood, are you your counsel for, you see Ms. Wood on the screen there. She represents you. I'm gonna ask Ms. Wood a few questions and then I may have a few questions for you, okay?
okay.
All right, Ms. Wood, what are we doing today with Ms. Powell?
Judge, we will go ahead and do a waiver. I've spoken with Ms. Nix. This is one that we're looking at adult diversion. But of course, we won't have an answer today.
No. Okay, we were cleaning up the 2022 cases today. So Ms. Powell, you have a bond, you've been on this bond for over 2 years. You're supposed to stay away from an address on Main Street. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Okay, you've been staying away from there?
yes,
Okay.
And your Honor, can I ask a question? I'm here for my mother. I'm her older sister. My younger brother is on the call as well as my other sister. My younger brother wanted to drop this. It was a simple, they're 2 years apart. They were raised like twins. It has just been an impact to our family because she's had to come live with me in Douglasville. So she hasn't been able to start school. And my mother she's a voting polls manager. So she apologizes for not being here. She's working early voting. And
Okay,
so Tavares is on the call because we've been trying to drop this and we don't know the how we need to go through because it's just impacted our life. She's had to live with me. He's living with my mother in Atlanta. She hasn't been able to start at the Art Institute of Atlanta because I live in Douglasville. So it's impacted our whole family. We can't even have family dinners anymore because they can't be around each other.
Got it. So a couple things, but first, thank you for sharing that. The way the criminal process works is that an alleged victim, that would be your brother, he doesn't have the power to say, hey, I want to drop. He can say those words, but the decision about dismissing charges rests with the district attorney. So that's Fonnie Willis and the people who work for her. It's certainly important input to hear from someone like your brother and from you saying we want this to go away. But I'm going to let that office speak for themselves as to why they jump just because an alleged victim says, I want this to go away. There are too many sad stories where a victim was scared into saying it never happened. That's not this case, I understand, but they need to be thoughtful about how they handle a request like that. Now, that being said, this is point number 2. This happened 2 years ago, and so it may be time to modify the bond so that we remove that condition of stay away from people, so that your sister, Ms. Powell, could move forward with the rest of her life. That doesn't make the charges go away, but the condition, the bond, would simply be stay out of trouble, which I suspect is not a hard thing for your sister to do.
No.
So
she's a straight A student. She's a good girl. We don't even, this is just awful.
okay. Well,
She's never been a bit in the principal's office all of her life.
Okay. No, I hear you. And none of us in this room was there when something supposedly happened back in 2022. And only now is this case bubbling up through the district attorney's office. They formally brought charges against your sister, and that case got assigned to me. So we need to work through that. Let me ask Ms. Nix, and I'm not putting you on the spot. If you need outreach, you can do that. But would you object to me modifying the bond so that there's a bond for Ms. Powell, but there aren't any restrictions about where she can live or what she can do in terms of other than no violent contact with Tavares?
If my victim advocate has spoken with the victim in this case, and we would not object to amending the bond to no violent contact.
Okay.
And I think I would prefer they don't live together, but if that's kind of the only option.
Well, let me ask. I'm not sure. I mean, some of this I need to hear from Talitha Powell, but it's fine, older sister, for you to be. What's your name? Are you also a Powell?
I'm Tamara.
Okay, that makes it complicated. But you're also Ms. Powell.
No, I'm Tamara Garwood. We have different fathers, same mother.
Oh, can you say your last name again?
Garwood, Garwood.
Garwood, great. So Ms. Garwood, I'm happy to hear from you, but I also need to hear from Ms. Powell a little bit.
Absolutely.
What I'm prepared to do is today modify the bond so that Ms. Powell, the main condition is just no violent contact with her brother, Tavares, which would remove restriction about where she lives, stays. She doesn't need to be in Douglasville. She could be somewhere else. Does Tavares, where would you live, Ms. Powell? If you could live where you wanted to, needed to, where would that be?
I would live with my sister.
This sister right here, Ms. Garwood, or a different sister?
The sister.
Oh, okay. So Ms. Garwood, I'm confused. What would change if we resolved we're not?
Well, she's not understanding. Like what he's saying is if he loosened it up, then you could live with mama. Are you comfortable with that with no violent contact?
Yes, I'm comfortable.
Okay. Does Tavares also live with your mother?
Yes, he does. He's been, but since this has transpired, they couldn't be around each other. So
Right.
She's been living with me and on and off with my other sister for these 2 years.
Got it. How old is Tavares?
Tavares is 19.
Okay, got it. So let's do this. I will modify the bonds today to have it say simply no violent contact with, is Tavares's last name also Powell?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so that will mean as soon as it's convenient for everyone, if Miss Powell wants to move back with her mother and be at that address on Main Street, that's fine. The
Okay.
key thing will be to, keep it calm with Tavares.
Gotcha.
Handle
We
it that way.
understand.
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you.
sure. Are we doing a waiver of arraignment today?
Yes, sir, I'll get it filed this morning.
Okay. All right, so we'll do the waiver of arraignment. What that means is then, the prosecutor, Ms. Nix, whose voice you heard briefly in here, she's gonna get discovery, all the paperwork in the case to, Ms. Wood. And then, we'll figure out if there's a way to resolve the case or whatever the next step is, okay?
Okay, thank you so much. We appreciate it, Your Honor.
Ms. Powell, do you have any questions for me?
No, not at the moment.
Okay, if you do move, you need to let Ms. Wood know so she can update us, in the court system. Right now, we have an address for you of Main Street. So, I guess when we're sending you court notices, they're going to your mom.
Yes.
Ms. Wood, do you have good contact information for the family?
I do. I've spoken to a couple of her family members, so I will get that as well.
Okay, great. All right, then we're all set. Ms. Powell has no other questions. Ms. Nix, anything else in that case?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you. You have a good day, Your Honor.
You too.
Okay, baby, you can leave.
Good morning, Honor. I just wanted to make an announcement. My apologies. My computer shut down. I'm here for the Spanish speaking case. I did hear that you perhaps didn't need our services.
No, we do. There were potentially two cases.
Two cases.
Yeah, there was a victim in a case who was wanting to be heard potentially at a bond hearing, but the state's managing that in some other way. We do have a defendant who may be entering a plea. I just need to get through this calendar and then his lawyer will meet with him and we'll get, if it's yes, we'll do the plea right away. If it's no,
Absolutely.
thank you for hanging out. Okay.
Not a problem. And I could also come down to the courtroom if necessary.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. I'll stand by.
Thank you. Adrian Merritz, hopefully is here.
Yes.
This case, is being folded. You're already in drug court, I think?
Yeah, I see you all the time.
Yeah, phase 4, you're doing well. Somehow this case didn't get lumped in when it was unindicted. It did get indicted, but I've talked with the lawyers in the mix and I think we're sending this over as a diversionary case. Ms. Nix signed where she needed to, Ms. Rios helped move it along. And so Mr. Merritz, what that means is if you successfully complete drug court and you are more than halfway there, so I hope you see it through, the state will dismiss this case. Now, I don't know about your other cases. They may be in there where it was a guilty plea. Pardon?
Everything is together.
Okay, well, good. So you got a lot riding on it, but you know that this will be part of what's riding on it.
Yes, sir.
All right. I don't think we need to talk with Mr. Merritz about anything else. And you won't need to come back here. You're working with Judge Krause.
Yes, sir.
So you keep seeing her, you keep going to Hope Hall, and you manage to make it to graduation and stuff will go away.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'll see you Friday afternoon.
Yes, sir.
All right. Yeah, I guess it is tomorrow. See you tomorrow afternoon. All right. Joshua Newsom.
Your Honor, it's my understanding that a waiver of arraignment was filed yesterday by defense counsel Ashley Merchant.
Okay, Ashley Merchant. Let me look this up. Figure we must have some funky case if you were in here. Yes, a waiver was filed. I didn't excuse Mr. Newsom, but it may be that Ms. Nelson did, which is fine. She's got that ability. Ms. Nelson, did Ms. Merchant reach out to you to see if Mr. Newsom could not show up Okay, all right. And yes, we apparently said it was okay he not show up. And you've already started sending discovery across, although did you send discovery to the other lawyer?
No, it's my understanding, Your Honor, we sent discovery to Ms. Merchant on
Okay.
October 16th.
Let's see, okay, so you knew she was involved even though she hadn't, filed the entry?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, great, as long as it's gone to the right place. We'll do a scheduling order and see what goes from there.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You bet, thank you.
May I be excused?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Ethan Brown. Brown?
Judge, this will be a waiver today, but I do need to speak with him first.
All right. Mr. Brown, your case has been assigned here. Ms. Wood is going to be your lawyer. She's got to get your contact information and give you hers, all that kind of stuff. And that way she'll be able to keep you posted with whatever is happening next. Here, let me look at your case, another 2022. Your bond, you have to stay away from a Miss Kirkpatrick. Have you been doing that?
Yes.
Okay. Good. Doesn't say about you can live wherever, do all that kind of stuff, so that's good. And address wise, I've got Oakland Drive.
Yes, sir.
Okay, is there an apartment number or just it's a house?
835.
Yeah, that's what we got. You still live there.
Yes, sir.
Good, okay. Don't go anywhere. Ms. Wood needs to talk to you. We're gonna take a break in just a minute. There's only one more position on this calendar. And we may have to hold so we can see what's happening with Mr. Gomez. But Ms. Wood will talk to you. When she says it's good to go, you're good to go. Any questions for me?
No, that's all.
Okay, all right. The last on the plea and arraignment calendar is a Mr. Denton. I think that's a probation revocation.
Yes, Judge, and I'm gonna speak with him, but I'm hopeful we can resolve it today.
Okay, we had an add-on, there's a calendar for it, for Owens.
Yes.
You're gonna handle that one too?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, great. Then why don't we pause so Ms. Rios can talk to Mr. Gomez. I've got Lopez. I keep saying Gomez. It's not Mr. Gomez. That's our federal agent. This is Mr. Lopez. So you'll talk to Mr. Lopez. Let us know if we need the interpreter. We'll do that. It's going to be a plea. We have an Abate case on the final plea calendar too. You handle
No.
position 6?
Yeah, let me figure that out.
Okay.
Let everybody look one.
Mr. Jordan, good morning. Oh, your name's on it. You're here for Ms. Vaughn.
Yes.
Okay. It's not my usual space.
Oh. Oh, I got it. Yeah. Have the dates. Sure, because I don't want to do this. That's it. Don't have dates. Who follow the dates? It might be on DLC, but. So maybe we could set outside.
Ms. Rios, is it gonna be a plea?
Yes, it's gonna be a plea. So what I'm trying to do is we're doing like the credit for the time served that he already did 2 years in DLC custody because all these cases should have been indicted at the same time. And so we're trying to do credit for that. So I'm trying to get the dates.
Okay. Ms. Hanson, are you in the building? If you don't mind coming to 4C, I think it will be easier since we're doing a plea to have you by Mr. Lopez's side. You're on mute right now.
My apologies. Yes, I could be there in just about 12 minutes. I'm just gonna drop something off at one stop for a walk-in and I can come down to 4C.
Thank
That'd be
you.
okay? Okay, yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'll talk to the ones.
So while we're waiting on the interpreter, can we do a couple of the final pleas if there's some that aren't gonna be, do we know some that aren't gonna be pleas?
I'm gonna talk to two right now. One, I mean, Mr. Dennis is not gonna be plea,
Okay,
but Moose.
so why don't we bring Mr. Dennis out? We'll take care of that. Thanks.
Judge, Kelsey Jones Connor from our office was to handle that, but if it's just a final plea hearing, I don't know what, if any, offers have been made. So if I can, handle it, I will, but, so I'll let you honor that.
Has the offer been life?
Yes.
Okay, we can handle that. Can you adjust, whoever's gonna, he's gonna need to be at the podium and that monitor is sort of showing outer space right now. You can move it however you want to move it, but it just needs to show us.
That better? I don't know.
Let me see. Yep. Dennis?
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. If you'll come right here. Perfect. Okay. Let's get on the record in position 6 on our final plea calendar. State versus Brenton Dennis, 24 SC 002038. Mr. Dennis, you're charged with murder and a bunch of other offenses. You know that. Today is your final plea date, and the only thing that's final is today is the last day that you could enter a plea, if you even were interested in entering a plea, and you could withdraw that plea if the sentence that I imposed is higher than what Ms. Rios asked for. But she's explained to me, that the state right now isn't agreeing to reduce any charges. So if you were to plead, you'd be pleading to murder, and the lowest sentence you can get is life, which is what the state's recommending. So there's not a lot of give here. It'd be life plus something probably because of the gun count. But I need to know from you if that's something you're interested in doing today, pleading to a sentence of life. And if you're not, that's fine too. That just means we make sure we get you on a trial count. Does that make sense what I said, or do you have questions about what I said?
I mean, that makes sense what you said. I had inquiries though.
You have inquiries?
Yes.
Okay, about what?
Where did these additional charges come from? Because the charges that I had was 3, and then I found out that I have no bond when I had a bond. But because of the additional charges, how these charges even? How did that come about?
Well, let me look a little bit. I don't bring the charges, so that's a district attorney question. But let me see if there's anything in the system that will clear any of that up. So not way back, not all that long ago, in April of this year, you were granted a bond by Judge Edwards, different judge, for $150,000. You were then charged with murder, aggravated assault, a couple other things. That was before you were indicted. When the district attorney's office went in front of the grand jury, they presented additional charges. They all relate to the same circumstance. They just charged it in a different way and added some things like felony murder, which they're entitled to do. Bonds for those counts. I'm not focused on bond today, and maybe we ought to have a bond conversation. We won't do that today because, of course, the district attorney's office would need to reach out to the family of the deceased to see if they wanted to be here and wanted to be heard. So we won't do anything without that happening. But today I'm focused on making sure we keep moving your case forward. And right now, the state's offer, were you to plead guilty, is a sentence of life. And if you're interested in pursuing something like that, we should have that conversation. If you're not interested in that, you should say, you know what, I would rather go to trial than plead to murder.
Of course, I'd rather go to trial.
Okay, I thought so, but I don't get to make that assumption for you. Every once in a while, someone comes in here and says, you know what, I don't want to deal with this anymore. Life is better than life plus 20, or in theory, the state, I don't know anything about your criminal history. They could try to recidivize you and ask for life without parole at trial. Right now, the offer is life, and you're saying no thank you to that.
Exactly.
Your case is on one of my upcoming trial calendars. So at the latest, I'll see you for that trial calendar. You and Ms. Rios can talk about whether it makes sense to argue about bond between now and then. Given the seriousness of your charges, I don't know how productive that would be, but that's something the two of you will discuss and decide. And then I'll get you in gear for the trial of the case. Okay? Any questions about any of that?
Not really. You seem fair.
Okay, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
I look forward to seeing you at trial time, and we'll see what happens then.
When is trial time?
So you are on the January trial calendar so that we can make sure Ms. Rios has enough time to get through all the evidence and work with you. It is a higher stakes trial than a burglary. And so you'll want Ms. Rios to be ready to go, which I know she will be. But because of that and things that she has on calendars before then, we put yours on the January calendar. All right? Anything else, Ms. Rios?
No, Your Honor.
From the state, Ms. Nix?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
I'll be able to talk.
All right. Ms. Wood, do you have anything on the final plea calendar? Look, this is the Ms. Rios day. You have Mr. Ware.
Yes, did you see the email, Judge?
I'm gonna look at the email. I'm having a little trouble with, well, the email from Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Well, it may have been from Ms. Nelson. Is he only here on probation revocation? And it shouldn't be because Judge Krause already handled it.
Correct.
If
So
that's the email you're talking about.
that is the email.
I'm supposed to sign something. I can't get Adobe to be my friend on this computer right now. But I'm supposed to sign something that dismisses the warrant.
Yes.
And that's the only reason why he was here. He also has final plea.
No, that was the only reason he was here.
Oh, okay, then we should bring him to the door.
He's not here, Judge.
Oh, he's not
He was
here?
already booked out.
Oh, I think like he's not even in jail.
Correct.
Because the notes here say, please bring him from Oconee County.
Right, and he was in Oconee. It looks like he was booked out at some point on Monday.
All right, Officer Evans is really waving her hands around.
Is this for Mr. Ware?
Ma'am,
Oh, okay, yes, Mr. Ware was on Palm and they served the Palm waiver to him, so that's why you received the warrant dismissal, Your Honor.
okay, so I will sign that today, but it sounds like he's out and we don't need to worry about him today.
Yes, everything's been taken care of.
Okay, other than I need to sign that warrant waiver. Or-
You actually did sign it already, Your Honor.
Oh, okay, well, then you must have sent, I got from Ms. Nelson, something from you. Where is it?
Those are the other revocations.
Okay, all right, there was something from Mr. Ware that I pulled up, oh, right here. Okay, there's a warrant dismissal, and if I click on it, never mind, because there's a problem with, it wasn't signed, but I don't need to sign it, it's already happened.
Yes, I've already, the one that has been signed has already been handled.
Great, okay, then we're done with Mr. Ware.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And Judge, can we talk about the other probation matters while we have Ms. Evans?
Yeah, let me just do one thing, Adobe's opening up for me. Right, I'm in. So I don't need Ware, but I have to do Villaflor a little bit. The only other one I was, there are two, is Mr. Denton. And then, there is Mr. Owens.
Yes.
Okay,
Before we bring either of those out, Mr. Denton says that he's already signed paperwork with his probation officer, so I just wanted to confirm with Ms. Evans if that sounds correct.
It was probably the revocation petition. However, I don't have a warrant dismissal for Mr. Denton.
Okay, so we can handle him, Judge.
okay. And then Mr. Owens, was there something you need to talk about in advance?
I've already spoken to him.
Okay, all right. Well, why don't we, until the interpreter gets here, might as well knock out some of these other things. Who do you want to handle first?
We can do Mr. Denton.
Okay, thanks. What are we doing with Ms. Vaughn today, Ms. Rios? She's not, I can't see if she's here. She's not here. Okay. Do you know Ms. Nix or Mr. Jordan?
Your Honor, I believe that we're close to presenting a non-negotiated plea before morning. But I
Okay.
know that Ms. Rios needed to talk to her one last time before she made an announcement to the court.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow. It's not even fair.
Good morning, Mr. Denton.
Good morning, Young.
So we're gonna get on the record in your case. It's 11 SC 101603, case from long ago. And I have a warrant that I signed in May of this year. Hold on one second. So I was gonna edit it. It should be 15 years, 10 plus 5.
That's what we're asking for?
So that's why I've been trying to.
Can you check your email?
One second, so I was gonna edit it, but I can't now, it's downloaded, so.
And then you came directly here?
So I will do that, but that one isn't.
Out on bond, okay. And then you got picked up on like
No,
that.
she's trying to come for probation.
That's right, okay.
Yes, ma'am, I've got it, thank you. All right, so Mr. Dent, I signed a warrant in May, a probation violation warrant that alleged in April of this year, you committed a new crime of having a little bit of marijuana and some MDMA and getting into some little disagreement with law enforcement in Clayton County. You have 5.5 years left on your probation, and we just need to work through the fact that you had this arrest at least, and Ms. Wood may know more about what happened with the Clayton case. What are we doing in terms of admitting or stipulating to the allegations in the warrant, Ms. Wood?
Judge, we will stipulate to the arrest. It sounds like Mr. Denton has a private attorney for the Clayton County case, so I'm not sure what the posture is. It does sound like they are going to present a defense against that charge. Part of the confusion that I was explaining to the court was he was arrested for this in Clayton. He did a little bit of time there. He bonded out of Clayton and then he reported to probation. And he said that he worked with his probation officer to get a 60-day revocation for the arrest. Exactly have documentation of that at this time. He's actually been in for 57 days here in Fulton County. We're just asking that the court revoke him 60 days and reinstate. And I do believe we need to add an apartment number to that address that's on the probation warrant.
All right, so Mr. Denton.
Oh,
Mr. Denton, we did talk, we have a probation officer on this call, not your probation officer, but someone who works with probation. And she said there's nothing in the system about this warrant having been resolved. You did sign a petition, that is the counterpart to the warrant. I signed the warrant, and then a probation officer may have presented you with a petition where you acknowledge, yes, I had this situation, but I need to get in front of a judge to resolve it. The other thing I have is that you had 3 years revoked back in 2015 for having a new conviction. So not this charge, a different set of charges in 2015. And Judge Hicks, who was a judge here, revoked 3 years of your probation and reinstatement. So that's what I've got in front of me. It sounds like you are agreeing you were arrested in Clayton County. Those charges are still out there, and you've got a lawyer who is helping you fight those charges. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, who's that lawyer?
Mr. Muhammad.
Okay, all right. Ms. Nix, what are your thoughts about this situation?
Judge, the state will defer to probation on this one.
Your Honor, at this time, I concur with the recommendation. I thought it was 3 months that he had been in, but now that I see that it's been 2, I stipulate to the 60 days, revoking the 60 days. However, I would need an updated address for Mr. Denton and just reporting instructions, Your Honor. Oh, and a drug and alcohol evaluation and any recommendation through treatment as the special condition.
Okay, is Mr. Denton on probation in any other case? There was this conviction he had that resulted in 3 years being revoked before. I'm curious if there are other cases following him around.
No, Your Honor, this is the only case that he has open. He did have previous, now he does have a history at which there were other open cases from 2015, 2016. But the last said case expired in 2021.
Okay, got it. All right, Mr. Denton, anything you want to add?
No, sir. Besides my address, it's a house.
It's a house, so
My
there's no
apologies.
apartment number. Okay, what I've got is, so it must be a different, I have a Jasmine Circle,
No,
and
that's
it's
all.
an big apartment number, it's 5 digits. Oh, we got a new address?
The same, she got it right here, the same one that I've been had, 3641 Plantino.
Okay, we'll get that, so as long as it's correct. And,
And I have that, Your Honor.
okay, so probation has it, which is important. Who lives there?
My mom's.
Okay, so that's a place that is open to you when you get out.
Yes, Your Honor, but I want, when I get the probation, I got my own apartments I had for 3 months now.
Okay,
And when I get probation, I won't get them my address. Cause I ain't changed my mailing address yet.
where you'll be going home to will be your mom's.
Yes, sir.
All right. And what's the status of your Clayton case? Has it been indicted? Do you
No,
know?
sir, I was out on bond and he probably get it dismissed.
Okay. All right. Oh, I see, this Platina Park Court, it's on the warrant, that's in Decatur, that's where
Yes,
your mom stays?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So Mr. Denton, what I'm gonna do something a little different. I do find that you violated the terms and conditions of your probation by getting arrested a few months ago in Clayton, allegedly with marijuana and some MDMA, having some kind of disagreement with law enforcement. I'm gonna revoke 90 days. You're gonna get credit for what you've done, and I'm gonna close the case out. You have been on probation for a long time. In this
Yeah.
case, I understand now why it was 20, because you were sentenced as a recidivist. So it, I think in the judge's mind, had to be 20. But you're gonna sort out your Clayton case. If those charges are dismissed, then you don't have anything hanging over your head. If they're not dismissed, then it results in new charges and you need to work those out. Maybe you'll be on probation, hopefully not for 20 years out of Clayton. But this case has followed you around long enough that I'm gonna close it out. So you'll get credit for the time you've been in. You're gonna do a little bit more time, but I'm revoking 3 months credit for the time you've been in. So you got about a month left. And when you are released, you don't need to report to probation because I'm closing the case out. Yes, sir.
I got my job, he been holding it for, I ain't gonna have it for 3 months.
Okay, what's that job?
I work as a diesel mechanic, Loves on Morton,
And why won't he wait for you if you're good at what you do?
because I did the 30 days in Clay. Then when I got out, I've been here almost 60 days, and then I guess I'm gonna have to try, but I know I might not have my job when I get out. I've been on that job 7 years.
Why do you think the job is there for you now? I mean, maybe.
Because we was going by what my probation officer said. She said 60 days and time served, they would let me go.
When you say your probation officer, meaning not Officer Evans, who we just heard from today, but.
Whoever I had.
One you've been working with.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about the Clayton situation. Why do you think it's gonna be dismissed?
Because they pulled me over out of their jurisdiction, and the MDMA that they said I had, it wasn't that. It was a Viagra pill, and the marijuana, it wasn't in my possession.
Whose possession was it in?
It was somebody else in the car with me.
Who was driving the car?
I was driving, that's why they charged me with it, but
Okay,
that's why I got to pay the attorney so I can fight it.
got it. I understand. Okay. I'm doing what I said. I
Yes,
hope it
Your Honor.
doesn't
Yes,
mess
Your
up
Honor.
your job. But I think more important is getting this case closed out. And so the consequences of being in that situation you were in, which was one you probably know you shouldn't have been in, is the 3-month revocation. We'll close the case out. I'm gonna think positive thoughts about you being able to keep that job. If
Yes,
you've
Your Honor.
been there for 7 years, you've shown them you're good at what you do, and I bet they'll take you back.
Yes,
And you
Your
won't need to worry about this case anymore, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Officer Evans, do you need me to say anything else for you to be able to do the revocation order?
No, Your Honor, nothing further. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Wood, anything else?
Judge, I do have a small request because I'm having a lot of pushback from DOC with these revocation orders.
But I know that we're gonna fix the other ones.
Okay.
If it is less than 6 months, it's not an issue.
Okay,
So you will not get pushback because it won't go to DOC.
got it.
I made the mistake in not remembering. I thought that it was 12 months. Anything less than 12 months is kept in-house and credit for time served is honored by the sheriff. But it's 6 months.
Got
And
it.
so both your situations, I said, oh, it'll be 9 months credit for time served, and they had done 8. Says, no,
Yes.
you've done 1 in Fulton, we don't count those other ones, and you got 8 more months to do. So I know I haven't fixed those yet, I will, but I now have committed to memory, it's a 6-month, we're well within that with 3 months. So I didn't mean to interrupt you, but we won't hit that tripwire, 3 is less than 6.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you, Judge.
thank you. Ms. Nix, I guess I already asked you, you were deferring to probation, anything else?
No, sir. I will say that case in Clayton County was indicted, and it's on a calendar call for the 7th of November.
Okay, well,
So
that'll be something for Mr. Denton to work through with his private attorney. Thank you for that update. All right, Mr. Denton, stay out of trouble.
Okay, thank you.
Anyway.
We have an interpreter now.
Yes, you are.
Thank you for being here.
Sure, absolutely.
Are we ready for Mr. Lopez?
Yes.
How is it easiest for you with the interpretation if you all are seated or if you're standing at the podium?
Same for me, whatever you prefer. I can do it either way.
Okay. I mean, I think it's easier if we've got everyone right there at the podium, but I don't, as long as that's not gonna interfere for you.
No.
Okay, that's good.
I would quickly use a factor.
Yo voy a ser la intérprete.
Ok.
Ya,
Thank
señora, su abogada. Vamos a salir un momentito y ya viene.
Your lawyer will be right back.
Su
She stepped
abogada ya va a
outside.
regresar, acaba de salir un momentito.
Okay.
Mr. Rios, are you ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. I'm gonna swear in our translator first. You swear or affirm that you will translate from Spanish to English and English to Spanish to the best of your ability.
Yes, I do.
Thank you. We have Mr. Lopez here. He has two cases, 23 SC 188715 and 23 SC 191969. Mr. Lopez, are you ready to move forward with your pleas?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. The way we're gonna handle this is that before you answer any question, please let the translator finish translating, even if you understood the question in English. And then you'll speak your answer in English or Spanish, doesn't matter.
Su respuesta usted la puede dar en inglés o en español, no importa.
All right.
And then the translator will repeat your answer in English.
Repetirá después su respuesta en inglés.
It's fine.
If at any point you have a question
Si en algún momento usted tiene una pregunta
or don't understand what's happening,
o no entiende lo que está ocurriendo,
will you let me know?
me puede decir.
All right.
All right.
Great. Ms. Nix.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Lopez, please raise your right hand.
Señor López, levante su mano derecha, por favor.
Do you swear or affirm that any statements or testimony that you shall give in the matter currently before this court
Ante este juez,
shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
la verdad y nada más que la verdad.
Yes.
Please state your true, correct, and legal name.
¿Puede declarar su nombre completo, legal?
Samuel Lopez.
Are you at-
Samuel López.
Are you at this time taking or under the influence of any medicine, drugs, or alcohol?
¿Usted está en este momento bajo la influencia de algún medicamento, droga o alcohol?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Is there a medication that you normally take that you have not taken or been given today?
¿Hay algún medicamento que usted normalmente toma que no haya tomado usted el día de hoy?
No, ma'am.
How old are you?
¿Qué edad tiene usted?
22.
How far have you gone in school?
¿Hasta qué nivel llegó usted en la escuela?
I get my GED. I graduated in the high school.
Oh, no muevan las cadenas porque interrumpen su movimiento.
Do you understand that you've been charged with the following offenses?
¿Usted entiende que usted ha sido acusado de varias ofensas?
Yes, ma'am.
In 23 SC 188715,
En el caso 23 SC 188715,
armed robbery and aggravated assault.
está usted acusado de asalto a mano armada y de agresión agravada.
And in 23 SC 191969,
Y en el 23 SC 191969,
armed robbery, aggravated assault, and possession of a knife during the commission of a felony.
usted está acusado de robo a mano armada, de agresión agravada y de posesión de un cuchillo mientras cometía un delito.
Do you understand those are your charges?
¿Entiende que usted que esas son esas acusaciones que tiene en su contra?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that you have the right to plead either guilty or not guilty to these charges?
¿Usted entiende que tiene el derecho de declararse culpable o no culpable a estas acusaciones?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that if you plead not guilty or remain silent and refuse to enter any plea at all, then the state is required to prove the charges against you at a jury trial?
¿Usted entiende que si usted se declara no culpable o permanece en silencio, usted entonces, o se rehúsa a tomar esta declaración negociada, entonces el Estado va a tener que comprobar estas acusaciones más allá de duda razonable?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you had enough time to review your rights with your attorney?
¿Usted ha tenido suficiente tiempo para repasar lo que son sus derechos con su abogada?
Yes.
Have you had enough time to speak with your attorney about all of the charges in this indictment against you?
¿Usted ha tenido el tiempo de hablar con su abogada acerca de todas las acusaciones que se le han hecho,
Including the facts and circumstances relating to each charge?
bien de los hechos y circunstancias relacionadas con su caso?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you need more time to discuss the case with your lawyer, Ms. Rios?
¿Necesita usted de más tiempo para hablar acerca de su caso con su abogada, la señora Ríos?
No, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with her services?
¿Usted está satisfecho con los servicios de ella?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Rios, do you waive a formal reading of the indictments for purposes of this plea?
Esta señora Ríos cede a la lectura formal de las acusaciones para los propósitos de esta declaración negociada? Sí.
And do you waive any and all defects in these indictments for purposes of the plea?
Usted también
I'm unaware of any defects, but do waive for the purposes of the plea.
Entonces, no estoy al tanto de ningún defecto que haya en el caso, pero sí renuncio a que no usted ante lo.
Mr. Lopez, do you remember having been arrested on these charges?
Señor López, ¿usted recuerda haber sido arrestado por estas acusaciones?
Yes, ma'am.
Has your attorney advised you of the minimum and maximum sentence for each charge to which you're pleading guilty today?
La abogada suya ha hablado con usted acerca de la pena mínima y la pena máxima de cada una de las acusaciones por las cuales usted se está declarando culpable el día de hoy.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that today you're entering a negotiated plea of guilty, which means the state will recommend the following sentence to the court?
Usted entiende que hoy está usted tomando una declaración negociada de culpabilidad, lo que quiere decir que entonces la fiscalía le va a hacer las siguientes recomendaciones al juez.
Yes, ma'am.
In 23 SC 188715, count 1 reduced to robbery.
El caso 23 SC 188715, entonces vamos entonces a reducirlo a robo.
And the state recommends a 10-year sentence that you serve 2 years with the balance on probation.
El Estado está recomendando entonces una condena de 10 años, de los cuales va a cumplir 2 años encarcelado y el resto bajo probatoria.
In count 2, aggravated assault, the state's recommendation is 10 years that you serve 2 years with the balance on probation to run concurrent with count 1.
Y en el cargo de agresión agravada, la fiscalía está recomendando 10 años de pena, de los cuales 2 años sean cumplidos bajo dentro de la cárcel y el permanente bajo probatoria y este tiempo va a transcurrir al mismo tiempo que el tiempo de la otra pena.
In 23 SC 191969, count 1, state will reduce to robbery.
Entonces, en el cargo 23 SC 1919, entonces la acusación 1 es de robo a mano armada.
And recommend a sentence of 10 years that you serve 2 years with the balance on probation.
Y se le recomienda en este caso una pena de 10 años con 2 años estar en la cárcel y el remanente en probatoria.
Count 2, aggravated assault, state recommends a sentence of 10 years that you serve 2 years with the balance on probation to run concurrent with count 1.
Y entonces, con el segundo delito de agresión agravada, el Estado está recomendando 10 años, de los cuales 2 años va a cumplir en la cárcel, y el remanente bajo probatoria, de los cuales van a transcurrir de forma al mismo tiempo de la otra pena.
In count 3, possession of a knife during commission of a felony, state recommends a 5-year sentence suspended to run consecutive with counts 1 and 2.
Y entonces en la acusación 3, que es posesión de un cuchillo durante la comisión de un delito, el Estado está recomendando una pena de 5 años que sea suspendida, la cual entonces usted va a cumplir una vez concluya la pena de los otros delitos.
Both cases will run concurrently with 21 SC 179991.
Y ambos casos van a transcurrir concurrentemente con
Give me
el
that
caso
number again.
21 S.
21 SC 179991.
¿Me puede dar el número de nuevo? 21 SC 1799. No. Gracias.
The conditions in both cases are no contact with Lauren Riepenhoff or Cheryl Thaxton. Lauren, common spelling,
Como condiciones, usted no puede estar en
Riepenhoff,
contacto con
Riepenhoff.
pero las de los delitos. Your Honor, may the interpreter request the names to be repeated?
Sure.
Yes, Lauren Riepenhoff
¿No puede usted estar en contacto con Lauren Riepenhoff
and Cheryl Thaxton.
y Cheryl Thaxton?
Riepenhoff is Riepenhoff, and Cheryl Thaxton is Cherrell.
Y Thaxton.
Thaxton, Thaxton.
XTON.
Restitution to Ms. Riepenhoff of $1,500
Una restitución a la señora Riepenhoff de $1,500
and to Ms. Thaxton of $1,750.
y a la señora Thaxton de
$17.50 or $1,750.
o
$1,750.
1,750.
Stay away from the Bolton Fernleaf neighborhood area, the area around all 3 robberies.
El área de Fulton donde ocurrieron los robos.
Must be full-time employed or in school.
Usted debe estar empleado en tiempo completo o debe estar estudiando
And complete 250 hours of community
y
service.
tiene que completar 250 horas de servicio a la comunidad.
You understand that's the state's recommended sentence?
¿Usted entiende que esa es la pena que está siendo recomendada por parte de la Fiscalía?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that the court is not required to accept the state's recommended sentence?
¿Usted entiende que el juez no está obligado a seguir las recomendaciones dadas por la Fiscalía?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that the court has the right to sentence you to the maximum possible sentence on each charge?
¿Usted entiende que la Fiscalía puede condenarlo a la pena máxima de cada uno de los cargos?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that since there are multiple charges to which you're pleading guilty today, the court also has the right to run those sentences consecutively?
Usted también entiende que como hay múltiples acusaciones para los casos del día de hoy, entonces el juez podría también determinar que en vez de cumplir las penas al mismo tiempo las va a cumplir consecutivamente.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So,
Do you understand that if the court decides to order a sentence that differs from the negotiated plea you are expecting today, you have the right to withdraw your plea of guilty?
Y usted entiende que si el juez determina darle una pena diferente a la pena que ha sido negociada, usted tendría el derecho de retractar la declaración negociada a la cual llegó hoy y después a un juicio jurado.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you currently on probation or parole anywhere?
Usted está actualmente bajo libertad condicional de probatoria.
Bajo el probatorio.
Under probation.
Are you on probation for anything other than the 21 SC 179991 case?
Usted está en probatoria por algún otro delito aparte del caso 21 SC 179991.
No, ma'am.
Do you understand that if you are placed on probation of any kind, you cannot violate any criminal laws of any governmental unit?
Usted entiende que si lo colocan después en probatoria, usted no puede violar ninguna de las leyes de ninguna de las instituciones gubernamentales.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that while you're on probation, you must follow all the special conditions of your probation?
Y usted entiende que mientras esté en probatoria, usted tiene que seguir todas las condiciones especiales impuestas durante ese periodo.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that if you fail to follow all the special conditions of your probation, then you'll be subject to revocation of that probation for the balance of your sentence?
Y usted entiende que si usted no cumple con todas esas condiciones que se le dan por probatoria, entonces se le podría revocar la probatoria y tener que cumplir el resto del tiempo encarcelado.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that you are not allowed to possess or use a firearm while on probation?
Usted entiende que no se le permite que posea ni que porte una arma de fuego durante el periodo de probatoria.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you a United States citizen?
Usted es ciudadano de los Estados Unidos.
I'm in process, ma'am. Estoy en procedimiento.
I'm during the process.
Do you understand that if you are not a United States citizen, a guilty plea will affect your immigration status?
Usted entiende que si usted se declara culpable, entonces esta declaración de culpabilidad podría afectar su procedimiento migratorios y estatus migratorio.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that a conviction could result in deportation in just the same way that a conviction through a trial would?
Usted entiende que una condena podría resultar en la deportación de cualquier forma que otra pena podría resultar en ella.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty to a felony, you may not receive, possess, or transport a firearm?
Usted entiende que al declararse culpable a un delito mayor, usted no puede recibir ni poseer un arma de fuego ni transferir un arma de fuego.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that doing so could result in new criminal charges for which you face a sentence of up to 5 years?
Usted entiende que esto podría resultar en cargos penales, acusaciones penales que podrían resultar en una pena de 5 años.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty to a felony, you also may not use a firearm in a crime in the future?
Usted entiende que al declararse culpable a un delito mayor, usted no puede utilizar un arma de fuego en ningún delito en el futuro.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that if you were in the future to use a firearm during the commission of a crime, you would face a 15-year custodial sentence consecutive to the sentence for the underlying crime?
Usted entiende que si usted llegase a cometer en un futuro un delito con un arma de fuego, usted estaría enfrentándose a una pena de encerramiento de por lo menos 15 años y que transcurriría posterior a la pena que esté cumpliendo.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that by entering a plea of guilty today, you are waiving any and all defenses, including any mental health defenses?
Entonces usted entiende que al declararse culpable el día de hoy usted está renunciando a presentar defensas en su caso, incluyendo defensas por salud mental.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty, you are giving up the following rights?
Usted entiende que al declararse culpable está renunciando a los siguientes derechos.
The right to a trial by jury,
El derecho a un juicio con jurado,
to remain silent,
el derecho a permanecer en silencio,
to confront witnesses against you,
el derecho a enfrentar testigos que se presenten en su contra,
to the assistance of counsel,
el derecho a tener la asesoría de un abogado,
the presumption of innocence,
de que se le presuma inocente
and to appeal if convicted of these charges at trial.
y la apelación en caso de ser convicto de un caso de este juicio.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it your decision to waive these rights and enter a guilty plea today?
Entonces su decisión es renunciar a estos derechos y declararse culpable el día de hoy.
Yes, ma'am.
Has anyone forced, threatened, or promised you anything to get you to enter a guilty plea?
Y alguien lo ha forzado, le ha prometido algo o lo ha tratado de convencer de que se declare culpable el día de hoy.
No, ma'am.
Is it your decision to enter a guilty plea because you are in fact guilty?
Y su decisión es declararse culpable el día de hoy porque de hecho usted es culpable.
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to the charges of of robbery and aggravated assault in indictment number 23 SC 188715?
¿Cómo se declara usted ante el delito de robo y de agresión agravada en el caso 23 SC 188715?
Guilty, ma'am.
And how do you plead to the charges of robbery, aggravated assault, and possession of a knife during commission of a felony in indictment number 23 SC 191969?
¿Y cómo se declara usted entonces el delito de robo, de agresión agravada y de portar un cuchillo durante la comisión de un delito en el caso SC 23, en el caso 23 SC 191969?
Guilty, ma'am.
Is this guilty plea freely and voluntarily given with full knowledge of the charges against you?
Y usted entonces se está declarando culpable de forma libre, voluntaria y con conocimiento pleno de las acusaciones en su contra.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that you have only a limited right to appeal this guilty plea conviction?
Usted entiende que tiene solamente derechos limitados para apelar entonces esta declaración de culpabilidad.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that if you wish to challenge the voluntariness of your guilty plea, you must do so by filing a habeas corpus petition?
Usted entiende que si usted quiere retar entonces la forma en que usted se voluntarió a dar esta declaración de culpabilidad, usted lo puede hacer a través de ingresar un habeas corpus.
Yes, ma'am.
You understand that since these are felonies, you have only 4 years from today to do so.
Usted entiende que dado que estas son delitos mayores, usted tiene un periodo de 4 años para hacer eso.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll start with 23 SC 188715.
Voy a comenzar con el caso 23 SC 188715.
Had this case gone to trial, the state would expect the evidence to show that on or about August 17th, 2021,
Entonces mostraría este caso que en agosto del 2021
the defendant approached Lauren Riepenhoff
Lauren Riepenhoff
while she was running on a trail.
estaba corriendo en un sendero,
The defendant demanded money,
exigió dinero,
and when she said she didn't have any, he reached into her pockets,
llegó a los bolsillos de ella,
took her car keys, and made her put her code into her phone.
Ella y Your Honor, may the interpreter request that last sentence to be repeated?
Made Miss Riepenhoff put her code into her phone.
Y entonces la
Like to unlock it.
señora
Yes.
Riepenhoff fue a buscar entonces su abrigo y llave dentro, sus posesiones dentro del abrigo que era para tomar el teléfono para abrir el carro.
The defendant then ran off with Miss Riepenhoff's car keys and cell phone.
Acusado entonces se fue con las llaves del carro de la señora Riepenhoff y con su teléfono.
VIC cameras captured the incident,
Y entonces también con respecto a los estatutos del incidente,
and Mr. Lopez was ID'd from a photo lineup.
y señor Loco fue identificado a través de una alineación de sospechosos.
And that occurred at 2351 Adams Drive Northwest in Atlanta,
Y eso fue en el 2351 Adams Drive en Atlanta,
which is in Fulton County.
en el condado de Fulton.
In 23 SC 191969,
91969,
Had this case gone to trial, the state would expect the evidence to show that on or about August 12th, 2021,
El señor durante la comisión de el número uno,
the defendant approached Cheryl Thaxton.
el señor Cheryl Claxton,
He was in possession of a knife
estaba en posesión de un cuchillo
and
y
demanded Miss Thaxton's belongings.
diera
She gave him her purse, which was a
su cartera,
Louis Vuitton,
que era una cartera Louis Vuitton,
and
y
had her belongings in it, including her car keys.
junto con las llaves del carro.
Miss Thaxton also picked Mr. Lopez out of a lineup as the assailant.
También seleccionó al señor López dentro de una alineación de sospechosos.
This incident occurred
Este
at
incidente
2331 Adams Drive Northwest in Atlanta,
noroeste en Atlanta,
which is in Fulton County.
cual está en el condado de Fulton.
Judge, this defendant committed a series of robberies all around the same time. One was indicted in 2021. He pled guilty to that in 2022.
El delito de robo también en el 2021, el cual fue presentado como acusación contra de él.
And these two were not indicted until the end of 2023.
Formalmente, sino hasta el 2023.
But all incidences were in August of 2021.
Pero también ocurrieron en agosto.
Is the
del
21 ST case, which is sealed, I can't get into
En el
it,
21
similar fact set, that it was a knife and it was someone near this Adams Drive address?
Yes, sir. I don't think it was Adams Drive, but it was in that same area.
Sí, yo pienso que era Adams Drive, pero se equivocó que era así.
Oh, nothing else from the state.
Talk to me a little bit
Hábleme un poco
about
acerca
why
de
you
por
think
qué
2 years to
piensa que
serve,
2
most of
años
which Mr. Lopez has already
La
done.
mayoría, cuál es la mayoría
Makes
de
sense given that it wasn't
Eso
one,
tiene
but
sentido,
3,
dado que no fue uno,
what I
sino
assume were
tres,
pretty alarming events to the
delitos
3
que
victims.
ocurrieron, lo cual es algo muy alarmante en este caso.
Yes, sir. The defendant was arrested for all three at the same time, and it was, these 3 cases should have been indicted around the same time, and they weren't. I don't know why the offer in 2021 was what it was, but
It should have reflected, do you know if the lawyers involved, I don't know how you know this, were aware there were these other armed robberies, or they may have been operating under the assumption that it was a single event?
I do not know.
Your Honor, I
Okay.
I was able to speak with both Ms. Riepenhoff and Ms. Thaxton, and both were satisfied with this offer, because the defendant has not been in custody since this incident, but outside of maybe a few months has been in custody. And so they were satisfied with this resolution.
Y estaba satisfecho con el resultado de esta propuesta. Bien.
Good morning, Ms. Jackson, how are you?
Bien, señor Jackson, ¿cómo está?
Good morning, Judge. How are you?
Fine. Can you share criminal history information on Mr. Lopez, please?
Yes, sir.
Sí, señor.
He has 3 cycles.
3 delitos, 3 expedientes.
The last arrest was April the 27th, 2018 in Texas.
17 en Texas, en 2018.
For alien removal.
Como remoción de un extranjero.
There was no disposition.
No hubo una determinación oficial.
He does appear to be on probation in Fulton County.
En probación en el condado de Fulton, en probatoria en el condado de Fulton.
That case number
Este caso tiene número
is 21 SC 179 991 for armed robbery
robo a mano armada.
That disposition date
La determinación de ese caso
is May the 18th,
es
two
del
thousand and 22.
18 de mayo del 2022.
You said 2022?
¿Usted dijo 2022?
Yes, Your Honor.
Great. Thank you,
Gracias.
Ms. Rios.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
I did want to say that I did talk to the previous attorney that represented him. And
Ms. Green?
yes, and everyone was aware about the other cases, but they wanted to, I guess, move the case along, so they didn't wait for the other ones to get indicted. And in regards to Mr. Lopez, he's from Guatemala. He's 22 years old. He does have a wife and a daughter. How old is your daughter?
1 year old.
1-year-old daughter. And he was working for was doing work in framing and construction. He wanted me to read this letter that he wrote. He says, I hope this letter finds you in the best regards and health as well. As for me, I'm not so good due to the status of my case. As you already aware, I have 3 cases, 3 indictments, all revolve around the same incidents, which took place within the same 2-week period. During August 2nd, 2021 through August 17, 2021. The conduct for which I was involved earned me a conviction in August 2nd, 2021. I committed and accepted an offer for 10 years to serve 2, with the rest probated. I served that time and I was performing the duties and compliant to the terms and conditions of probation with no violations or no new charges before the court. Although I was convicted of the robbery, I feel the state should have indicted all 3 cases so I could deal with all of them at the same time simultaneously. All cases were identical in conduct and detail. And based on the same evidence within the same investigation that led to my conviction.
Que llevó a mi declaración de culpabilidad, a mi condena.
I do like to outline the fact that I was 18 years old at the time of these crimes. Although I'm not minimizing the fact that there were victims who didn't deserve to be victims of any crimes. I want to emphasize that I was sentenced for my conduct and sent to prison for.
Eso para los motivos de la condena que se ve en cuanto a la conducta que yo tuve.
I was stupid and acted reckless.
Estúpido y actué de una forma irresponsable.
I learned a valuable lesson while incarcerated.
Una lección muy valorable durante el tiempo que estuve encarcelado.
And made the decision to change the direction of my life towards education and productivity. Being legitimately employed wasn't where my mindset was at 3 years ago, but it has since my release from prison. I also want to add that during these times, I never had intent to hurt anyone at any point, and nor did I. If I could have the other 2 indictments ran concurrent with the first case, in my, which it should have been, then I can continue being productive and complete the probation sentence, staying out of trouble. By supporting myself and working. sentencing me with more prison time would contradict the purpose of rehabilitation when I haven't been given a fair chance proving I have changed since committing the crimes.
La oportunidad de demostrar que yo he cambiado y me he rehabilitado desde la comisión de estos delitos.
I have changed since committing these crimes and going to prison already for them being from the same spree of conduct. I really wish I can get the chance to show you I'm a good man.
Agarro esta conducta y después quiero mostrarles que sí he cambiado y quiero demostrarse.
Judge, I just ask that you follow the recommendation or the negotiation with me and the state to the Tim serve 2 and credit for the 2 years. I believe he was in the dates. I know he was in August 2021, and I believe was then released in August 2023. And then I think he has been in custody, arrested again for what, since May?
5 months.
5 months, 5 additional months.
5 meses adicionales.
What I have for time, the easy one is most recently, it's from May 28th till now. So a little less than 5 months. Certainly he'll get credit for that. Then 2021 booking number, it's from August 18th. So it sounds like he got arrested the day after the Riepenhof robbery, or the day of, but it's the 18th through June of 2022. But that may be when Mr. Lopez went to the Department of Corrections.
Yes, he was transferred to Department DOC in 2022. And I believe he was released August 2023. It's just so, this paper just shows that he went in. I believe it was August 2023.
So that's the mystery we need to solve. It's not on that. We can get that info. I'll give you time to get it because I want him to get credit for that.
Judge, he never made bond on either of these 2 cases before he was sent to prison. So he was still in custody in these 2 when he was in prison.
So maybe I misunderstood. Did you ever, after you were released from prison, Mr. Lopez, were you out on the street or did you come straight to Fulton County?
I was in the street.
You must have, if you have a 1-year-old kid, you have to have been out at some point.
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember when you were released from prison?
Yes, August 18, 2003.
Okay, that was exactly 2 years. All right, Mr. Lopez, I very much appreciate what you put in that letter. Is there anything more you want to add today?
No, sir, that's all.
Do you understand that it is very possible that you could be again removed from the United States as a result of these guilty pleas?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just want to make sure no one's promised you would be able to stay in the United States. That's not my decision.
All right.
And you still want to go forward?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Lopez, I find there's a factual basis for your plea in both cases. Your victims identified you from the photo lineup. I also find that your pleas are knowing and voluntary. Voluntary means no one's forcing you to enter this plea. But you've decided this is how you want to move forward. And knowing means you've understood all the things we talked about. Do you agree with both those?
Yes, sir.
I'm sentencing you pursuant to the Probation Options Management Act, which means if you are able to stay in the United States and are on probation,
Y usted, si usted permanece en probatoria,
if you have a little problem on
tiene
probation,
un problema con la probatoria,
you and probation will deal with that.
usted y la gente de probatoria va a tener que lidiar con eso.
If it's a bigger
Si es
problem,
un problema más grande,
get arrested or
lo
anything
pueden
like that,
si usted lo arrestan o algo por el estilo,
that'll come back to me.
entonces el caso va a regresar a mí.
Mr. Lopez, when you
Entonces,
are
cuando
released,
usted lo liberen,
if you are staying in the United
usted se va a
States,
quedar en los Estados Unidos.
where will your address be?
¿Cuál será su dirección?
I just mean what city
¿En
and
qué
county? I don't
ciudad?
need the
No
street.
necesito la dirección exacta de la calle, pero ¿en qué ciudad?
Dorisville.
¿Perdón?
Dorisville.
Doraville?
Doraville.
Yeah, Dorisville.
Okay, so DeKalb County.
Entonces en el condado
Yes.
de DeKalb.
Okay. Ms. Nix, is it okay if someone from my office signs the two indictments on your behalf?
Yes, sir.
Firma estas
Yes.
dos declaraciones
Ms. Rios?
especiales
Yes.
de
All right.
parte suya.
Mr. Lopez, is it okay if we electronically sign your name to the two
Firmamos
indictments?
electrónicamente su nombre en estas acusaciones formales.
Yes.
All right. There is not a probation issue here for you. You are on probation now for that third armed robbery,
Tercer robo a mano armada.
but that sentence came after these two incidents. So there is not now a probation revocation.
Entonces no hay una revocatoria de la probatoria por eso.
What's your daughter's name?
¿Cuál es el nombre de su hija?
Tanya.
Tanya?
Yes.
Tania.
Is she in Doraville?
¿Y está en Doraville?
Yes, sir.
So, Mr. Lopez,
Entonces,
I'm gonna tell you how I'm gonna
quiero
sentence you,
decir
and then I'm gonna let you and Ms. Rios talk about whether you wanna go forward with that sentence,
que hable con la señora
or if you wanna
Francisca, si
withdraw your
quiere
plea,
proceder,
because
si usted
today,
quiere revocar
not
entonces
tomorrow or
su
the next day, but
revocación,
today,
porque
you
hoy,
could say, no, thank
no
you,
mañana,
I'd like to
si
go
es
back
porque
and
a
wait
lo
and
mejor
have a
usted
trial,
mejor,
okay?
usted quiere
So
decir,
hear me
"No,
out.
gracias, prefiero ir a juicio", pero entonces escuche bien lo que voy a decir.
In 23 SC
En el 23 SC
188 715,
715,
it's the Riepenhoff case,
el caso de Rippenhoff,
I'm sentencing you on count one
yo voy a declarar
to
entonces
8 years
en
to
cuanto
serve
al
3
cargo
years
en
with the balance
cargo
probated.
1 de 8 años a cumplir con 3 años, a cumplir en la cárcel 3 años con el remanente en probatoria.
Count two is the same
En
sentence.
2, la misma condena.
Special condition number
Las
one,
condiciones especiales, número 1,
$1,500 restitution
restitución de $1,500
to Ms. Riepenhoff.
a la señora Rippenhoff.
Number two,
Número 2,
stay out of Fulton County.
manténgase lejos del condado de Fulton.
Number three, 250 hours community service.
250 horas de servicio a la comunidad.
In 23 SC
El caso
191,
es 191
969.
969.
your sentence says to count
Lo voy
one
a condenar con
is
respecto
3 years to serve.
a la acusación 1 va a ser de 3 años
Count
a
two
cumplir.
is 3 years to serve.
El número 2, 3 años a cumplir.
Those will run concurrently with each
Van a
other,
transcurrir
meaning at the same time.
concurrentemente con ellos. Eso quiere decir al mismo tiempo.
Count three
El
has to be
acusación
5
tres
years and it has to run
tiene
consecutive.
que ser de 5 años y tiene que ir de forma consecutiva.
But I will probate
Yo
that.
le voy a poner eso en probatoria.
So that's a sentence of
Porque
8
es
years
una
to serve
una
3 years.
Pena de 8 años.
With the
a
balance
cumplir con
probated.
3 años y el balance en probatoria, el remanente en probatoria.
That sentence will run at the same time or concurrently with
Va a transcurrir al mismo tiempo,
your sentence
concurrentemente
in
con
715.
la condena en el 715.
And both those will run concurrently
Y ellos
with
van a ser
your
concurrentes al
21
mismo
SC
tiempo con la
case.
21 SC, el caso 21 SC.
Special conditions
Las
in the
condiciones
969
especiales
case.
del caso 969,
Number one,
el número 1 es
restitution
una
of
restitución
$1,750
$750
to Ms. Thaxton.
la señora Jackson,
And number two, stay out of Fulton County.
y manténgase lejos del condado de Fulton.
You will get credit, Mr. Lopez, for all the time that you served, the time that you, so the 2 years that you served in the 21 SC case, as well as every day since you were more recently arrested, so about 5 months. That leaves more time to serve, but I think that's appropriate, given the fact that we had 3 victims and 3 cases. But I also heard what you wrote in your letter and very much understand that you were out for 8, 9 months and everything you did went well. And so you have demonstrated that you were dumb and young back in 2021. That doesn't make it easier for the victims. But it shows everyone involved that maybe you turned a corner. Again, it may be that when you are done with this sentence, you face removal to go back to Guatemala. I don't control that.
Saquen del país y lo envíen a Guatemala, pero yo no tengo control sobre eso.
Do you have any questions about the sentence I've imposed?
Acerca de la pena que le estoy dando, la condena?
No, sir.
Ms. Rios, any questions?
Rios, ¿alguna pregunta?
No, Your Honor. I just wanted, do you need to talk to me a little bit more about it?
Conmigo?
No.
No, you're good. So you'll be here for 7 more months.
Entonces está bien,
Yes,
vamos a
I will.
meses más acá.
Okay,
Okay.
we're good.
He's gonna go full. Okay, Ms. Nix, anything else on behalf of the
Algo más
state?
de parte de
Judge, I didn't hear
usted?
no contact order with either of the victims. These are strangers, so.
I omitted that. I didn't mean to. So I'll add that as well.
Eso no fue mi
One more
intención.
special condition.
Una
This is the
condición
easy
especial
one.
más, esta es la fácil.
Stay away from Ms.
Manténgase
Riepenhoff
lejos de la señora Riepenhoff.
in the case ending in
En
715
el caso que termina en 715.
and stay away
Y
from Ms.
manténgase
Thaxton
lejos de la señora Thaxton.
in the case ending in 969.
En el caso que termina en 969.
But you don't know them and they don't know you. I
Pero
don't think you're
usted
gonna
no
bump
los
into each
conoce y
other.
ellos lo conocen a usted, así que no creo que este sea un problema.
Officer Evans, do you need to give
Deben
Mr.
ustedes
Lopez
superar
any
ya,
reporting
López, algún
instructions?
tipo de
Your
instrucción.
Honor, is it the intention that, he would be released following this hearing?
No, ma'am, he has additional time to serve based on the sentence that I gave him.
Liberado después de los 10
Thank
años.
you, Your Honor.
Cumplir, dado-
Mr. Lopez will be reporting to the DeKalb County
Entonces, en un futuro reportarse
Probation
con
Office
el condado de DeKalb
within 24 hours of his
Yes.
release.
que lo liberen. Usted tiene que reportarse a ellos dentro de las próximas 24 horas en que lo liberen.
Do you know their address?
¿Sabe cuál es la dirección de
Can I have the address, please?
¿Me puede
Absolutely.
decir, por favor? Sí, absolutamente.
One moment.
Un momento.
There you go.
That address is
Dirección es
981
981
East Freeway Drive,
East Freeway Drive,
Southeast, Suite
Suite, Southeast, Suite,
B, as in boy,
Suite B,
Conyers, Georgia,
Conyers, Georgia,
30094.
30094.
Telephone number 770
El número de teléfono es 770
388
388
5011.
5011.
Failure to report within 24 hours of
Tiene que
release
reportarse allí
may
en las
result in a
24
warrant
horas
for your
posterior
arrest,
a su
Mr. Lopez.
liberación.
Do you understand?
No lo podrían arrestar si no hace eso. ¿Entendió usted, señor López?
Yes, ma'am.
Good luck to you. Thank you.
Muy buena suerte para usted. Gracias.
Thank you.
Eso es todo. Gracias.
What
Señor
does it mean
López.
after release? 7 months, right?
Yeah, 7 months.
Alright.
If there are issues, you know to call me or I'm checking.
I see.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Do you need me to sign anything or you're all set? Great, I appreciate your help.
Thank you very much. It's in the last one.
Okay. See that? Do you want me to put the time there or you'll do it? Okay. You need a break or you? Okay. We have to stop a little before noon anyway, so you can make. Thank you. You too. All right, what is next?
I'm ready on Owens, Judge. Craig Owens.
Yep, let me find out, I have a hard stop a little before noon, and then we can pick up after that. Do we have an update on Ms. Vaughn, or is that more, I know Ms. Rios has been tied up, dealing with Mr. Lopez.
She hasn't said anything additional to the state, Your Honor. I do have a conflict at 12:30. I'm currently in trial in front of Judge Newkirk.
Oh,
So
have you been here all day? He's not starting until 12:30 today?
he had a conflict in the morning.
Okay.
So he's not starting until 12:30, but I can
Okay.
get someone else from the unit to come down and cover if Ms. Vaughn does please.
Okay, we'll figure that out. I just seen what else we have. We need to do Ms. Favors.
Judge, I'd also ask that we move Mr. Rogers' bond hearing up, the victim is here.
Okay, all right. That's a Ms. Rios situation. And is Ms. Favors, Ms. Rios also?
Favors is me, Judge.
Okay, why can we bring Ms. Favors out while we're waiting? That way we're moving stuff along.
Hey, Ms. Favors.
Good morning, Ms. Favors.
Good morning, Your Honor.
You are here for well, I'm Judge McBurney.
How you doing, Mr.
Nice to meet you. Your case has been assigned to my division, so I'll be working on your case till it's resolved, whether it's a plea or a trial. Today is your arraignment date. Ms. Wood, what are we doing with Ms. Favors' arraignment?
Judge, we're gonna waive formal arraignment, enter a plea of not guilty. I will get that, or I think I just filed it actually.
All right. So Ms. Wood is simply entering a plea of not guilty for you. That gets the ball rolling. The prosecutor on your case, who's not in court today, one of his colleagues is here, will get discovery to Ms. Wood. So that'll be a big stack of materials, police interviews, videos, who knows what. Ms. Wood will review that herself, also review it with you, and then she'll decide if that means there are any motions that should be filed. Just an example would be, let's say you gave a statement to the police. I don't know that you did, but let's say you did. If they didn't Mirandize you before they tried to talk to you, it may be that there is a constitutional problem with your statement. And Ms. Wood may think we should try to keep that out because you said some things to the police that would not be helpful if there was a trial. Well, for us to do that, we have to have a hearing. The officer would testify. It's over here. The officer would testify. You might testify. So that's what I mean by a motion. But there may not be motions in your case. That's a decision that Ms. Wood will make after consulting with you. Then we'll move your case towards either a plea, if it's going to plead, although charges like yours don't always plead out. And so if it needs to be a trial, then we'll get you a trial. My goal is to make sure we're moving quickly because you're sitting in jail, but not so quickly that Ms. Wood is saying, wait, I got to make sure I'm ready and that I'm effective in helping Ms. Favors. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Any questions about that?
Am I eligible for a bond?
So that's a great conversation for Ms. Wood, and you two should talk about that. I know you had a bond hearing in the past with a different judge. Now that the case is here, this is where it will stay till it's resolved, whatever resolution means. And so Ms. Wood's gonna look at that bond hearing you had to decide, does it make sense to try again with Judge McBurney? I tend not to disagree with what my predecessor does, but something could have changed as well. And it may be that that judge set a bond, but it's too high. That judge may have said no bond, and Ms. Wood will talk to you about that. So the answer to that is maybe. If Ms. Wood files the motion, then yes, we'll have a hearing. I don't know that it will change anything, but certainly nothing will change if Ms. Wood doesn't ask on your behalf, okay? Ms. Nix, anything on behalf of the state?
Yes, sir.
All right, then Ms. Favors, I will see you with whatever's next, whether it's a motion for bond or something else, or maybe your case is working out, and if not, for a trial, okay?
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Ms. Wood.
Ma'am, I'm gonna speak with you first.
Ms. Rios, you are a busy lawyer today.
Yeah.
We have Mr. Rogers' situation and
Okay.
the alleged victim is here, so we could do that bond hearing if you want. We also have, Ms. Vaughn, what we're gonna do with Ms. Vaughn. And I don't mean to forget about Eric Musa either. I never actually called his name. I don't know if he's in court or in custody. In custody, great, so he's not going anywhere. We can handle those in whatever order you want, although there was a vote to do Rogers because the victim is here. I will need to stop around 11. I'm not exactly sure when, but it'll be close to noon. And then we wouldn't really pick stuff back up, depending on what it is today, because of this motion for new trial I have that'll run all afternoon. But maybe we do it today. If not, we can find a time to do it.
Okay.
So you tell me.
We can go ahead and do Derek Rogers.
Okay. So it's both arraignment, and you may have already waived, but we'll handle that and then we'll talk about bond.
Yes.
Okay. If we could bring Mr. Rogers out, please.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes they want that, and I know yeah, I mind that will always match. Just the project. Can't go back. Of the war. That was probably like the missteps. But you're probably so. You know, even when you like just reset them and see if you can find things that are not to the relationship. Well, yeah, but I mean, I guess the rest are. If there's any way to members, I can help them talk to them. And you can go some. Oh, yeah. Hi, Mr. Rogers.
Oh, this one.
There you go.
It's at home.
Good. All right, let's go on the record, please. This is, give me 1 second. All right, we want to move the camera, Mr. Jordan, unless you're handling this one. 24 SC 004406, State versus Derek Rogers. Good morning, Mr. Rogers.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
Doing okay.
Good. Mr. Rogers, you are here this morning. I'm Judge McBurney. Your case has been assigned to me, and you are here for two things. One, today's your arraignment day, so I'm going to ask Ms. Rios, your lawyer, if you're entering a plea of not guilty at this time or something different. And then Ms. Rios also filed a motion for bond. So we're going to talk about bond in your case as well. Ms. Rios, let's take care of the arraignment first. What is Mr. Rogers going to do on that front?
I believe I filed an arraignment, a waiver.
Oh, you did? Oh, a while ago, over a month and a half ago, there was a waiver. Did we miss an arraignment date or?
No, as soon as I find out they're in jail, I do.
You just jumped on it. Okay, so that's already done. So we'll do a scheduling order now that everyone is together. So then let me see. In July of this year.
I don't have an offer yet.
Judge Brooks set no bond. So we're in a no bond status, and I will hear from you, Ms. Rios, as to why I ought to set a bond and what that bond should be like in Mr. Rogers's case.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Rogers is 45 years old. He's lived in Atlanta all his life. He has 2 children and he also has grandchildren. He's currently on disability for his foot injury. He's walking with a crutch in a wheelchair. He's not able to walk. He needs to be out to keep getting treatment and also to be receiving his disability. I'm asking for a bond. Because he's on disability, he does not have much ability to pay for a bond. I know you are not able to set a UJR bond, but as low as possible. He's maintaining his innocence in this case, and that it must have been a misunderstanding. So I'm asking for a bond no more than $5,000.
Okay. You mentioned foot injury, and it looked like to me that Mr. Rogers lost a foot.
Yeah, I didn't know how to.
That's okay. Is that a situation he had that we're dealing with an allegation from January of this year? The kidnapping, false imprisonment, et cetera. It's carjacking, it sounds like. Was Mr. Rogers disabled in this way back then?
Yes.
Or since then, something has happened to him such that he lost his foot?
I believe it was prior, right? You've been.
Yeah, I've been disabled since 2019.
Okay. Got it. So then, is there, you said foot injury, clearly there's something happened in 2019. There's not something that happened more recently. It's the ongoing condition of being disabled.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I just want to make sure there wasn't a new urgent thing. Not that any of this is unimportant, but Mr. Rogers has been navigating this disability since 2019. Okay, all right. What about housing for Mr. Rogers?
I believe.
Gets out on a low bond. Where does he stay?
Yeah,
Where you living with your daughter? Where are you living?
I'll be with my mother.
He be living with what's the address?
1690 Westlake Court, Atlanta, Georgia.
With his mother at 6090 Westlake Court.
Apartment A?
Yes.
Okay, that's the address in the system, 1690. Okay. Who else stays there?
Just her.
Okay, and she would let you stay with her?
Yes.
All right.
Would you?
She's here. Okay. Hey, Mom.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. So Mr. Rogers could stay with you if he is able to make a bond, if I set a bond?
Yes.
Okay. And you, right now, you're just living on your own?
Yeah, I live by myself.
Okay, are you working?
No, I'm disabled.
Okay. I appreciate you being here. Let me hear from Ms. Nix, please.
Yes, sir. This incident was Mr. Rogers calling for a Lyft driver. Mr. Oscar Perez, who is present in the courtroom, was that Lyft driver. The defendant threatened him with a gun, told him to cancel the Lyft ride, and had him drive to Alabama. The victim was able to get away in Alabama and came back to Atlanta.
Get away as in with his car get away,
Yes,
or the victim had to get out of his car, Mr. Perez did, and leave his car behind?
Mr. Perez was able to leave with his car.
Okay,
Uh,
but
the-
from Alabama?
Yes. The defendant has criminal history in 7 states: South Carolina, Louisiana, North Carolina, Alabama, Florida, Mississippi, and Georgia. He has a high number of misdemeanor convictions. There was a April 2024 arrest in Brookhaven for aggravated assault. That case has not been indicted yet. The defendant has FTA warrants or just warrants from 3 different places. The warrant from Alabama was not able to be confirmed, so it is not a hold. There is a Spalding County warrant that has been confirmed and an Escambia County, Florida warrant that has been confirmed, and they will extradite. Escambia County, Florida is Pensacola.
Okay.
The defendant was arrested in June of 2024, and he was indicted at the end of August 2024, which is less than 90 days, and so he is not entitled to a bond. The defendant fails all of the IALA factors based on his criminal history, the number of states that he has criminal history in, and the number of failure to appears. So we would ask that you keep the no bond in place, and I believe the victim would like to make a statement.
Okay, give me 1 second.
All right, to the podium.
Good morning.
Because Mr. Perez is Spanish speaking, Ms. Rivera Gao is going to speak on his behalf.
That's fine. Good morning.
Morning. I'm going to speak on behalf of Mr. Oscar Perez. I'm a victim witness advocate. My name's Daniele Rivera Gao, and this is Oscar Perez. I felt really scared when he took out the firearm. I thought I was going to die. I was not safe for that reason. No one in the community is safe. Please do not release him.
Thank you, Mr. Perez, for being here.
Thank you.
Ms. Jackson, good morning again. Do you see, what do you see in your system about warrants, open warrants or holds for Mr. Rogers?
I see a hold out of Douglas County for a probation violation. The date on that warrant is August the 28th, 2024.
Okay. That's it?
That's the only hold that's listed in the GCIC. Do you want to hear the history, Your Honor?
Well, I heard a fair amount, so I think I'm good. I just was curious to see what your system showed you about holds or warrants for Mr. Rogers.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Appreciate it. All right, Ms. Rios, anything you want to add?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Rogers, I am going to leave you in a no bond status for now. Ms. Rios knows that if for some reason the movement of your case slows down, not from your side, it may be that you ask for more time. Ms. Rios says, look, we need time to process this or that. But if it slows down because the state's not providing discovery or the state says we can't find this witness, then we need to re-examine whether bond makes sense. But for right now, given the fact that you've got an active hold out of a nearby county and some of the other things that Ms. Nick shared with me, I think that the more prudent way forward is to leave you where you are, but to make sure that we're moving your case. Hold on, let me finish. That we keep moving your case forward. What did you want to say?
That's not me in Douglasville. I've never been on probation in Douglasville.
Okay.
That could be someone else.
Well, that's exactly the kind of thing that Ms. Rios can look at. And if she confirms there are no holds, whether it's the warrant out of, I think, Florida, where they're willing to extradite, which may not have shown up on Ms. Jackson. If Ms. Rios can show me that you're not wanted out of Florida, Alabama's not interested in you, and there's not something in Douglas County, then we ought to talk about this again. So I'm open to that. Based on what I heard this morning, I'm gonna leave things as they are, and we'll just make sure your case moves forward. Anything else, Ms. Nix?
Judge, the Escambia County, Florida and Spalding County warrants are on his jail page, so they are current holds.
Okay, that's just different from what we heard from Ms. Jackson. So it may well be, it's a different Derek Rogers with the Douglas County, but we've got Spalding County and we've got Florida. So I'm gonna keep you where you are for now, and we'll see where that goes. Ms. Rios, thank you for your time.
I'll be out to see you.
Huh?
I'll be out to see you soon.
To the jail or out
Yeah.
there?
Out to the jail.
All right, I need to stop now. I know that you're gonna still work on the Ms. Vaughn situation. Is that something you think we would deal with today, or it would be another day because there are too many moving parts?
I think we could probably take a plea today, if
Okay.
she's willing to. I know we're pretty far apart on what we're asking for.
But she'd want to do, I mean, because she can withdraw her plea
Yeah,
today,
so she
so why
would.
not try it?
Yeah.
So I can be back around 1.
Okay,
And the motion for new trial doesn't start till 1:30.
okay.
So I know you can't be here at 1, but you'll get someone who can not change whatever the state's offer is. So Ms. Rios isn't, wait, that's not what Mr. Jordan said. So you have someone teed up for that.
Yes, Your Honor.
And we can do Mr. Musa's, is that gonna be no thank you, or?
It's most likely not going to be a plea, but I'll talk to him again after I talk to him.
Okay, so we'll take care of both those. And we have Mr. Owens.
Yes.
Is there any reason Ms. Rios couldn't do that for you, so you don't have to come back at 1?
You can do it. I was hoping I could make a brief announcement on Mr. Porter before you leave.
Okay, Mr. Porter.
Thomas Porter. We talked about him earlier. He has a number of family members here, so I promised them I would address.
Sure, I'm sure, is he on the calendar?
He's on Leona Raymond. I think he was position 8. Yes, Thomas Porter.
Oh, yes, okay,
This is the one judge where Ms. Willingham and I are working on it.
yes,
And I discovered, after my announcement that the complaining witness is actually incarcerated in a different county jail. And so I just wanted to put that on your own radar. I will be filing a bond modification for him. He's got a cash only bond. And so I've already done the waiver, but I did want to let the family know that, this is kind of where we are.
okay, great. And we can take that bond modification up as soon as we can get Ms. Willingham connected with things and visit that. So the alleged victim in Mr. Porter's case is also in local custody.
She's in, yes, in Fayette County, and there's a possibility she's headed to DOC.
Okay, all right. Thank you for sharing that. All right, so we will be down till 1 o'clock. And we will see what's going on with Ms. Vaughn and certainly handle Mr. Musa. Okay, thank you.
And you're gonna have someone come for,
Yes, I'm trying to be loud. I'm not doing. She was prepared to come this morning before I knew it.
Okay.
If anything changes, I'll definitely text me and mention it, but I know we started.